Why didn't this come back for just a day before the fountain left? The demon should have rose and been like, I'm back for one last spit. Whatever. Right?
I can't breathe.
Something.
One last spit.
It should have been a final goodbye.
Sup, Park Peeps? I'm Demi from Magical Hijinks.
And I'm entertainment journalist Joey Nolfi, strapping in for the Park Peeps podcast, the ultimate theme park show where unhinged passion, travel expertise, and coaster nerd chaos collide. This week, Dustin the theme park shark holds our hand through the long, painful goodbye to Lost Continent, Universal's opening day land at Islands of Adventure that is dying a slow death as we go through the history of this enchanting spot at Universal.
So buckle up and pull up on that yellow strap as we dispatch for Season 2 of the Park Peeps podcast.
As we prepare to dive into the history of Universal's soon-to-be demolished Lost Continent land, I want to ask, do you hear that, Demi?
Unfortunately, yes. And also, that squirted right into my eye. Thank you very much.
That, dear Park Peeps listeners, I will not apologize for, and it is the culmination of minutes of work on behalf of me, Joey Nolfi, and my co-host Demi of the Magical Hijinks YouTube channel, because together we have tinkered away behind barriers and amid piles of rubble at Universal Islands of Adventure's Lost Continent section to resurrect our beloved talking mystic fountain and restore it to its former glory after it apparently closed a few weeks ago.
Joey, when we resurrected this with our hammers and glue gun mere moments ago, there was no water in it. How is it bubbling again?
You know, all that crying we've been doing over Universal closing this opening day land, Demi, ahead of the new expansion?
Sure do.
And the bottles and bottles and bottles I've asked you to expense to the Park Peeps Platinum Amex expense account?
Well, yes, it's flowing with our tears, isn't it?
Isn't it lovely, Demi? Isn't it lovely?
I'm not sure how to feel about my tears being harvested for such a project just yet. Especially one that doesn't involve letting them flow in a revived Miss Piggy fountain. But one thing I do know is that we'd love for you all to make sure you're subscribed to Park Peeps Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Have given us the highest maximum star rating.
That's right.
And comment on each episode. It really helps us keep from going the way of the Lost Continent because we want to stick around.
Yes, Demi, we just keep expanding our wings here at the Park Peeps podcast. We now have the restoration wing to add to all of this. I am so excited, and I'm so sorry about the Mystic Fountain squirting you in the eye. We will have to just give him a little talking to. But
that's okay. You can make it up to me by subscribing over to Magical Hijinks. That's HIJINX over on YouTube and following at Joey Nolfi.
That sounds like Nolfi.
That sounds like Nolfi.
I love when you said that like a year ago now. I will never let it go. Now, while our little tear droplets are swimming around in the Mystic Fountain, you have likely found our esteemed guest also splashing around online in your algorithm if you are a theme park fan, as he is a Universal Parks expert and a deep Lost Continent fan who is here to help us break down the history and significance of this opening day land at Islands of Adventure.
You know him from his online presence and coverage of both Disney and Universal. Please welcome please welcome for the first time to the show, the wonderful Dustin, a.k.a. Theme Park Shark.
Dustin.
Hey, I love that intro. I love the splashing around reference, and maybe one day it'll be a welcome back. So we'll make that intro correct too one day, right?
Well, yes.
I guess, we've been just looking at your stuff for so long. I feel like we've already had this discussion.
I mean, I was going to say, I do tend to black out for these episodes. So you could have been here once before. I don't know.
Maybe, right? Maybe I blacked out too. It could have been, all of us. So maybe I have been here. But no, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to talk about this land. This land means so much to not only me, but I think a lot of Universal fans. I pulled out my island shirt.
Yes, you did.
My Islands cup as well is here, so we're ready to go. I'm ready to talk about this. Ignore the Chronos. We'll talk about Epic another time.
Yeah, I got my little Chronos here too.
Forget about it, guys. Lost Continent another time. We're going to Epic.
Yeah, we're going to Epic now. But no, Dustin, it is really great to have you here, and your content is so fun, and I just really, I think I first came across your stuff actually right before the Epic media preview last year, which
Nice.
you were also in attendance at, and you have a lot of really great stuff on. And then
Thank
since
you.
then, you have your socials. Theme Park Shark is just, everybody should go check it out. You also have a YouTube channel, and it's you're doing all the things, and you're everywhere. And I don't know how you sleep, and it just you do so much. So everybody should definitely go check out all of Dustin's stuff in addition to what we are gonna talk about here, which is sad news. But there's nobody better to talk about it with than a diehard Universal fan. So I think what I want to do is I really would love for us to start with a brief summary, as we usually do, just, leading up to this point, because as we have seen for, I would say, what about the past 10 years, the better part of 10 years, Universal has been slowly kind of picking this land apart, like year after year. It seems like it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But it at one point was, as you said, an opening day land at Islands of Adventure. So I just want to give a very brief summary of, just to give our readers who might have never been to Islands of Adventure, who don't know the history. Yeah, because they're reading us the House Down Boots. Yes. Our listeners, I want to give our listeners just a brief history of what this land is and why it is so significant before we talk about it. So it did open in 1999 as an opening day land as part of Islands of Adventure, closed in pieces over the last 10 years, and Universal did confirm in April of 2026 that Lost Continent will close permanently to make way for a huge new expansion, with Mythos, the legendary restaurant, also closing in 2027 as the final piece to close forever. Now this land, once again, just pieces and pieces have been disappearing, but it has been one of the richest and most compelling histories and general existences, I think, in Universal history. It definitely stands out to me as one of the company's most significant and impactful and frankly impressive creative gambles or risks, I guess you could say. And it was one of their most ambitious and one of their best projects in the theme parks divisions to date. And it never really got the love and appreciation it deserved, I think, both from Universal and the general public as a result. And we'll get to why in a little bit. But now, it had 3 opening day areas. There was the Lost City, which had Mythos, Poseidon's Fury, which is a walkthrough attraction, which closed in 2023. Sinbad's Bazaar was an area that had the 8th Voyage of Sinbad show, which closed in 2018. It also had the Arabian Marketplace and our beloved star, Mystic Fountain, who we resurrected moments ago, which is a fountain that would interact and talk with guests and also shoot you with water, and it was really cool and fun. And then there was also a section called Merlinwood, which featured the Enchanted Oak Tavern, which was a restaurant that also had the Alchemy Bar out back, where you could sit and look out over the water where Velocicoaster currently sits. And then also had the Dueling Dragons roller coaster, which were 2 dueling inverted roller coasters, and the Flying Unicorn roller coaster. So, and it hurts to almost talk about it and just summarize it, because it's so cool and there was so much here, and it hurts, right, Dustin? Like, this has to hurt just talking about it.
It does, and there is so much there. I mean, it's kind of what you said too. I think like the writing's always kind of been on the wall with this land for the last decade of what's going to happen, because it seems like piece by piece by piece it's just been slowly taken for us. And I feel like Harry Potter and Hogsmeade going there officially kind of like told us like they're serious about taking up a decent amount of space or something. I think that was the first official time we're like, whoa. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of just really important moments in time that I think this represented in the theme park industry with the opening of Islands of Adventure. But also, I mean, you can look at something like the scale of Poseidon's Fury from the outside, from the, like, looking at that thing, like that almost doesn't look like it even belongs in a theme park, much less, especially a park that's stateside. Maybe something abroad, you would see something like that, but stateside, that was impressive, and it still was impressive in 2026 today. So it's a bummer to see something like that go, and I feel like it's almost representative of how things ended up going when you look at some of the more fleshed out themed lands, and obviously going into Epic Universe, just the scale and the size and just the overall commitment to fully immersing you in these environments. I feel like you could look to a lot of it to a land like this.
Yeah, it definitely, I mean, I like that you said that about the international appeal, because I think you definitely can look at, especially right now, the Chinese theme parks that are really doing things on a scale like this. I mean, the Sunac parks and the Happy Valley parks, they're, it's very, you look at the excess that is sort of going in there and the level of immersion that they're putting into just their rock work. Oh my God, the Chinese parks love their rock work. And seriously, Lost Continent is a master class in rock work. Like, there is so much really cool rock work in this land, and just really cool sculpture and architecture. And I was even the stores in the are just very rarely do I like to just kind of immerse myself in a store in a theme park. I mean, I just kind of go in, you get what you need, and you leave. But when I was there recently, and this was amid the rolling announcement of the closures that Universal just said was going to start happening in April of 2026, I was at the Poseidon's Treasure store that also has the adjoining Pearl store that was near the exit of Poseidon's Fury, which I do want to talk about a little bit more later, that specific attraction, because that is such an unsung attraction that I think still nothing has really touched to this day. It's so good. But that store is... There's so many little things in there. I mean, I was just in there for like 20 minutes because I didn't realize that specific store was closing. And the team members in there actually were like, she saw me with my phone out and she was like, oh, you better get your pictures and video now. She was like, we're closing tomorrow. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I've been here 10 years and I don't know what's going to happen. And she was like, I've loved working here so much. And it's such a, and I'm, it's like, that is, I think, a testament really to how cool it must be to be in this place every single day and not get tired of it. You actually get sad that something like a retail location is closing in a store or in a theme park, and I just am still trying to. I mean, we all know why Universal has to evolve. It has to change. Things need to be done, but seeing the way that they did this, Dustin, I also want to ask you, and Demi, I also want you to. This is something I think you'll have an interesting answer to as well. Has the fact that they sort of have been closing this in very segmented pieces, I don't know how many more times I can say it on this episode, since like when did Dueling Dragons close? Like 2017-ish? So since...
But it wasn't...
That's when Dragon Challenge...
But it was... Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dragon Challenge then, but when it closed, so it was sequence, or not sequent. Oh my God, listen, my brain is still on Drag Race.
Because that's the thing. It's like... That ride technically did close for the Lost Continent. That was 2014.
It was, yeah, I think a little bit before that. I think, well, the Potter section opened in 2010. So, correct. I mean, yes, it did. It was sectioned off before that, but it was demolished in 2017. So, like, an original remnant of that land was demolished. And then, obviously, in the changeover to the Hogsmeade stuff, we lost a lot of Merlin Wood, actually, or all of Merlin Wood.
Yeah.
So, the question being... Do you think the fact that it did close in segments like this over the course of 15 years has made it easier or more difficult to say goodbye to it?
I mean, Demi, what do you think? I'll let you take it if you're ready for that.
I think honestly it was easier because it wasn't like, I guess I know I'm bringing it back to the other parks, but like how like Muppets felt like it just happened so quickly, even though they didn't reopen that store after COVID. Like, that should have been the writing on the wall. But it still felt very just like, it's here and it's gone. This, I think, like, it felt like, oh, we have time to say goodbye to you. And we see the writing on the wall. And we're going to get we're going to get our time with you and enjoy every moment that we have left. Which is kind of really dark, actually. But, but I think, because I'm still to this day crying about Muppet Courtyard. And I'm sad, but I don't feel nearly as sad. And I'll say I would never feel nearly as sad as anything else in the world, but I don't feel nearly as sad as I do because it's just it seems like it was going to happen. And, one thing closes another and, we just trying to get as much as left. So for me, I preferred it. Honestly, what about you, Dustin?
Interesting.
I'll put it to you this way. It allowed for me to live in a constant state of delusion between the small closings, but I think the nail in that really solidified it was Skull Island, when I saw something as small as that basically become its own land, just a little ride in a little area, I truly told myself, I said, you know what? I think Mythos and Poseidon's Fury can just be its own thing forever. I think they can just leave it at that. It can be a little transition thing. And if they want to build right there when you leave it, go for it.
Yeah.
But one of the greatest walkthroughs we've ever seen in a theme park with one of the best restaurants. How do you ever touch that? Leave that little part and then just keep building next to it. So I think I always told myself it was the bug they could never crush. Like they would try, but it was always going to be there.
It's the little bug.
Almost like the Kid Zone curse, right?
Yeah. Oh, I could see that.
But you're absolutely right, because it could though stay. Like that's the thing. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily need to go, especially if Mythos is considered one of the greatest theme park restaurants in the world. Like, why aren't you just keeping this one little section then building around it?
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah,
you're not delusional at all
for that. I think it comes down more so to like Poseidon's Fury, because there's just so much good real estate and room there to do something amazing. Yeah. And I think when they look at that, they're like, we could do something crazy right here.
Right.
I think so too. And I just think that I'm glad that you said the word delusion, because that was sort of what I was going to get at, was that I do think it made it more difficult for me, because I did think, oh, there is hope. There's gonna be something, because Mythos seems to me, people always talk about the untouchable Disney stuff. And to me, Mythos always seemed like that untouchable universal thing. And they wouldn't tout it as heavily as they do. And it is such an architectural, and I promise we will get into the really interesting architectural history that this building has in a moment, but there's so much significance there, and they tout it so proudly. It did seem like an untouchable to me. So I thought at the very least,
they just upgraded Poseidon's Fury too. They just gave us enhanced visuals over there. I'm like, we're good. We got another 5 to 10 years here.
It's so tough. It's so tough. And I think that a lot of people, the reason why it's tough is, I think, because of what I want to say next in the next segment as we transition into talking about more of the individual attractions and their significance, because I think a lot of people don't know, casual, people, us theme park nerds, we know this, but like a lot of casual people who go to this park don't know that this land actually had its origins at Disney. I mean, amid the Eisner era, Disney was looking to expand its parks portfolio in Orlando with a 4th park, which eventually became Animal Kingdom, under the direction of Demi's close personal friend and video shout-out legend, and also recent visitor to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Joe Rohde. Yes, Beastly Kingdom was one of the lands that Joe had planned to open alongside the park in 1998. However, reportedly due to budget only being allocated to one of the 2 lands, either one themed to dinosaurs or one themed to mythical creatures of fantasy, which fulfilled the park's core tenets of exploring animals from the present, past, and fantasy. The dinosaur land was ultimately chosen, and Beastly Kingdom was pushed to phase 2. Now, many Imagineers reportedly were frustrated with this and took their designs elsewhere after being frustrated by the lack of initiative in building the Beastly Kingdom. So they partnered with Universal, which was gearing up to open its 2nd gate, Islands of Adventure, and that's how we ended up with the very similarly themed opening day land to Beastly Kingdom, Lost Continent, that opened with the park in 1999. And I do think it is funny that we are now seeing both of these lands, Dino Land and Lost Continent, close in the same year.
Yeah.
Dino Land was extinct earlier this year, but it also closed in very small pieces. Yes.
Wow.
So they both died a very sad, slow death in front of us.
Interesting.
So there's more connections that I want to touch on. But obviously the theme projects planned for Beastly Kingdom included the Dragon Tower, a suspended roller coaster, which would have been the marquee attraction that would circle through a dark themed dragon infested tower, which, I mean, made its way to Island of Adventure as the Dueling Dragons. But
which was, by the way, put to Harry Potter in 2010 when the land
Yes.
opened. I thought there was time in between, but there
No,
really
yeah.
wasn't. Very short closure period.
Now, the other connections that I wanted, in parallels that I wanted to draw between Animal Kingdom and Dino Land and the Lost Continent, both were initially meant to open at Animal Kingdom, but Dino Land was chosen over Beastly Kingdom. Both initially also featured graphic depictions of the deaths of knights that were later removed from both lands. Disney was on the Animal Kingdom boat ride just outside the Dragon's Lair portion where the fire would shoot out of the cave that was kind of teasing Beastly Kingdom. There was really graphic depictions of knights who were impaled on stakes. Some were melted, some were in pieces, and Disney was like, let's get rid of this. But then Universal had very similar depictions of knights dying very grotesque deaths in the Dueling Dragons queue, because the one dragon was fire, one was ice, and they were both had met their ends in very distinct ways at the hands of at the claws of the ice and fire dragons. So both of those were also eventually removed because that didn't port over then to the Harry Potter section. Again, both were shuttered in bits and pieces and small phases as the parks phased out both lands. And the last one is that both are among their respective resorts' first lands. I think the first at Disney, the second at Universal, to be completely transformed into something completely new, a new themed area. So like essentially, for lack of a better term, a reskin of an area. The only one that I think beat Lost Continent at Universal was the DreamWorks Kids area at Studios. But that was obviously on a much smaller scale. So my question to you, Dustin, I will ask this to you first. Which pieces of this land from its opening, we'll go back to its opening. So when all three sections of this land had opened, which ones stood out to you the most as the most impressive?
Well, first of all, I just learned that there was someone in Orlando that was adamant that there would be dying knights at one of these parks. They said, I don't care where it's going, but it's going to one of them.
It's going to one.
It's happening. Someone's going to approve this and someone's going to make it happen. So that's interesting. But I mean, it's, and I'm going to say it over and over and over again, because I want to just harp and make sure people understand it, that specific area that I love so much, which is right there where Poseidon's Fury is. And it's specifically the facade of that attraction. And I know you said we're probably going to get into, more of like the rock work and just how intricate this area is. But it's hard for me to pick any other area outside of that due to the grand scale of when you walk in and you see that building off to your right. It doesn't look like a theme park. It looks too big to belong in a theme park, much less a Universal park, especially at that time. I feel like if you must have walked in that park, especially after your only experience with Universal parks at the time was Universal Studios Florida, if you walked in IOA day one and you saw that facade, I just can't imagine how your mind wasn't just like blown. It's like you got to walk a far distance to even get to like into the queue versus like the entrance of it. It's insane.
Well, that's the thing, is a lot of, and Demi, you talk a lot about this with Epic, but I mean, I think you said in our episode with Nick that a lot of stuff in Epic isn't forced perspective. It's just perspective. It's just perspective. And I think that Universal was doing this with, because even if you look at Marvel Superhero Island, there's some forced perspective going on there. There's some forced perspective going on in Jurassic. But here, there's really not. I mean, that Poseidon's temple, that hand with the Triton and the temple, that is all, there's no forced perspective going on there. It is all very much, Justin, like you said, like you walk up, you go past all these fountains, you see all this amazing rock work and these waterfalls, and that's a temple. You are fully going into the tomb.
You would think it's the real thing of whatever they're trying to portray, whatever this this is it. Like they didn't just build like a theme park attraction. Like they just brought over whatever this temple is and put it there. Like that's how it comes across to me. But I want to ask you guys this, since we're also on the topic of just like the opening day stuff. If you can put yourself in your own shoes, maybe 15 years ago, let's say, before there was like too much going on in terms of like the small takeaways, is this the opening land that you would have predicted would be first to go?
It's really hard to say, only because I think where the land struck, well, that's not true, because it was Dueling Dragons. I think
I would say no. I would say no.
What would it been for you?
I would have said, I think that what's the I'm blanking on the cartoon land's name.
Zeus
Toon
Landing?
Lagoon. Toon Lagoon.
Toon Lagoon.
Toon Lagoon. Yes,
Toon
Toon
Lagoon.
Lagoon.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, 100%. Like, I'm surprised that Toon Lagoon still exists.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm
Right?
someone who, like, I love nostalgia. I love old things. I even love the old cartoons that they're representing in that area. But, like,
Yeah.
I barely know them. And, like, I can't even imagine the
Yeah.
disconnect between, like, anyone under 30 and this land. And, like, and the only reason why I even know Dudley Do Right is because of the Brendan Fraser movie.
And I'm glad you brought
true.
up Dudley, because I think Dudley is what saves that land, because I think it's so iconic and it's become so synonymous with an IOA attraction that it's kept this land for as long as it has. But I'm with you on that. I think it's one of those IPs that's going to struggle to connect with a lot of people at this point.
Yeah.
But
And it's, I mean, this, I think the reason why I wouldn't say Lost Continent is because I do think that it is a pinnacle and a shining example of this. We talk so much now about nostalgia for the 90s and the excess that we saw in not only in terms of architecture, but just graphic design. And you know, the 90s was a very maximalist kind of era.
they were in their bag. They were in their
They really
bag.
were. They really were. And I think that Universal also didn't really cut many corners here, because when you look at Lost Continent and what it opened with compared to what, and this is not a dig at Epic, but you compare it to something like Epic, look at what Lost Continent had in its opening day in terms of offerings. How many quick service restaurants in the Arabian marketplace? How many restaurants in Merlinwood that were highly themed experiences? The Dueling Dragons roller coaster, the Children's roller coaster, the Poseidon's Fury walkthrough attraction, the Mythos restaurant, the Sinbad show, the Mystic Fountain. Those are all in one land on opening day. And that's more than experiences than I can think of 2 Epic lands right now combined on opening day.
And they're not existing IP. They're all just based off of different
I'm so glad
mythology.
You said that.
Like, and that is something that is so rare nowadays, is that we're not getting, like, you know, I'm honestly surprised that we have the lore of Celestial Park and Captain Cacao, which is all original stuff now, because maybe they thought, like, oh, maybe we can't do this because we feel like it didn't work for us when we tried to do it with Lost Continent. But I'm glad they did, obviously. But I'm so sad that an original IP like this is what's going first, because that's the thing. It's your IP. You can make more of it. You can create what you want it to create to keep it relevant. So I don't know where the disconnect was.
Demi, are you saying that Homer's The Odyssey was not an intellectual property of the ancient
The
of your
Lost
people?
Continent? The Lost Continent is not specifically based off any one thing. It is a mixture of an amalgamation of different things. So yes, while it's based off of Greek mythology and Poseidon and stuff. It's not like Popeye or.
I'm with you on this. Yes,
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. No, I'm just teasing you.
I mean, like, you can say, like, Xena the Warrior Princess is based, you know, that's an IP, but, like, it's
Give me the Xena ride.
Greek mythology.
That's what's coming in there. You know, it's not Pokemon, it's not Legend of Zelda, it's Xena.
Oh my god, my husband would lose his mind.
The lesbians are going to be so excited.
I want to double down on that, though, because there is truly, I don't know if I want to use the word magical or what I want to use, but to allow creatives to just go in and do their thing almost with a blank slate. Say, we're giving you an idea, or, you know, something historically there are some bits and pieces that you can pull from, but it's not a Nintendo. It's not a Harry Potter. It's not like we've seen these things in film and we're going to just try our best to recreate and rebuild it. It's like, you got to use your head. We're going straight from scratch. We want you to be a theme park. Just wow us right now with whatever you can come up with out of your brain and just make it. And there's something great about letting the creatives do that when they get a chance.
Yeah.
Right. Especially coming off of doing the park that's about writing the movies, all things that have already occurred, you know, and that's what, those things a lot of times originally drive the people there. Like, that's I want to go because of Jaws or now Harry Potter or whatever, and then stay for the other things. I mean, because that's what kind of theme parks have kind of shifted to in the last 30 years. But, you know, so for them to be so ambitious into creating a land that is not an existing IP in the sense of where like people are going, I'm going for the lost continent. Love
Right.
me that Greek mythology. Like maybe there was a few of them, but you know, for most people, it wasn't that. You know,
Well, I
A few is
mean,
probably correct.
Yeah.
I do think we should make the distinction though that yes, like intellectual property, I do. Whereas I agree with you, and I think the sentiment stands that this land was not. And I think it did stand out because it wasn't tethered to like a blockbuster property. I do think we have to call out that the unifying theme of Islands of Adventure, and one of the rumored things that is replacing this, which is Lord of the Rings, also adheres to, is that these lands were all, whereas Studios was based on film, this was literature. So it was things that, different forms of literature, comic books, Jurassic Park was obviously a book series first, and now all of the things that inspired this were published
Comics
works. Yeah, yes, but Lost Continent is based on like literary works, so it's not necessarily like original creations. It's not just things that are based in folklore. It's actual recorded text that it is based on. But I do think that they made that decision very consciously to not lean into something that was so immediately tied to another visual thing like a film or a TV show. And it's something that can live in a more fantastical space in each person's mind because there wasn't visual accompaniment back then.
Absolutely.
And I do think one of the things, in talking about the rock work and just the intricacy that went into this and the artistry, Mythos actually, to me, has a really interesting origin story. I mean, it was designed by an architect named Jordan Moser, who he interpreted Greek and Roman mythology, but did it, and this is all from this firm's website that I'm lifting this from, it was filtered through the Renaissance gardens of Bamarzo, the forms of which inspired the surreal artist Jean Cocteau and Salvador Dali. So when you're in Mythos, that's why it looks so strange and weird and exaggerated, because like Dali literally inspired it. And then you do also see other literary works of fiction in there. There was the Odyssey is represented quite a lot in Mythos. But now I don't know what some of this stuff means, but it sounds artsy fartsy, so I'm going to read it because it's on the architect's website. So, a ferro-concrete shell suggests a city emerging from stone, which is the exterior, like the one in the 1949 story The Immortal by Jorge Luis Borges. I don't know if I'm saying that right, which was part of the Labyrinths collection. Domez. Look at me thinking that was a name. Domes. Domes and spires emerging from stone. A relief of Narcissus gazes into a fountain. An arch is supported by a crystallized atlas on the outside. Anthropomorphic arches that are also faces, and metalwork depicting sirens and Kraken, the Cyclops. So the room inside, there's a giant dragon. The mouth of which is the pizza oven, which is so cool. I mean, like, Pizza Moon could never, but also no shade to Pizza Moon. We love Pizza Moon. Now there are also mosaics depicting Pompeii, Pegasus, the Cerberus, the three-headed dog. Now, the funny thing that I laughed out loud when I discovered this architect, Jordan Moser, can you take a guess at which, just what you know from Mythos and seeing the inside of Mythos, which restaurant chain did he design one restaurant for? It was, and I'll give you a clue, it's in Chicago, and it was the chain's 12th restaurant, and it is in a basement, but it is by far the wildest version of this restaurant that you will ever see.
I have no idea.
I have a guess, but I feel like I'm either going to be on it or very off.
Go with your gut, Dustin.
I'd go like Rainforest Cafe. But
No.
Okay.
Cheesecake Factory.
Okay. Yeah, actually, okay, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like the gold tones and like that very weird 90s fantasy rock work thing. It just, you can see it, right? I mean, it's you should definitely Google. And this, it's so funny because this is all on their website. They have done so many projects. They've done hotels around the world. They've done art museums. They've done really cool things. But then they're like, yeah, we also did Mythos and the Cheesecake Factory in a basement in Chicago. It's just like,
oh my God.
It's so funny, but there was so much work and attention that went into this that you're using an accomplished architect who is world renowned and has done so many great things that first and foremost of which is the Cheesecake Factory, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just so cool. It's like, this is the level of, this wasn't just like, oh, we're going to carve some rocks. No, we're going to get an architect and make an art piece with combining all these different literary influences from centuries ago. It's so cool.
Now that you say it, I feel like it does feel very obvious now. I think I was just in my head like, what is some like crazy themed chain? I was like, okay, maybe that, but now that you say it,
I was gonna be like, is it some weird, like one-off, weirdly cool Pizza Hut or something?
Exactly.
McDonald's, the coolest McDonald's in the world.
Well, there is this like McDonald's not far from me that is like in a mansion.
A literal McMansion?
It's literal McMansion. Yeah,
the McMansion.
It's out in Nassau, and I think it's like New Hyde Park. If you look up McDonald's McMansion, New York, I think it'll come up. It's
who designed that one?
It's really cool. What?
You know who designed that one?
Who?
Joe Rohde. He designed the McDonald's in a mansion.
Well, what's so funny is that you're talking about how like amazing this whole work of art is, because it really is a work of art, and then you have people in the year of in the 20s, whatever, I guess, because it's been so long.
The 20s, clang, clang, clang.
That's the 40s.
Whoops.
But anyway, Mike, my husband, who goes to the outside of Mythos and puts a funny Snapchat filter over the faces on the rock work.
Wait a minute.
This is why we can't have nice things. This is the reason. This is it.
I asked him for the photo, so when he sends it,
please, I need to see this. I really want to. I've never seen this before, and this is something I desperately need.
So funny, and I can't pass it without thinking of it every time.
Oh God, I love that so much. But
now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure I've used the giant dancing Shrek behind that restaurant as well. So I think I've done some things there myself too. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh no, this is Mythos After Dark. That's what's going on there. So there's also as we just went over with Mythos, there's so many little things in this land that are really little factoids and interesting bits of information. Dustin, do you have any cool little factoids that you know of, or anything cool pieces of information that you've ever come across that sort of stick out to you about Lost Continent?
You can tell me if you do. Do you know the ride that never was for this land?
No,
or could have been? There was a long-standing rumor, and it wasn't necessarily going to be a part of this land, but I guess just like in this area where they were eyeing it. But this was going to set the standard for what ended up becoming Forbidden Journey. It was a Van Helsing Kuka arm style attraction. So I figured I would jog your memory now that I said it, but something that a lot of people don't know is that before that movie ended up coming out and not doing the best, they really had their eye on this, and this was going to be their first Kuka attraction, which is crazy. And it was going to be right there. And another thing that I guess kept Lost Continent and my delusion alive was that they're not touching this thing happening. But yeah, that's one of my favorite fun facts is that there was almost an attraction here that kind of really would have changed the course of history, because I don't think they would have doubled down and done Forbidden Journey right after. They would have given it its own style.
Or
and we would have had we would have had a completely different Harry Potter attraction, potentially a different Monsters Unchained. The domino effects, if that attraction came to be, are kind of crazy.
Can you imagine a world without Monsters Unchained?
No.
I don't want to imagine that.
I don't want to. I don't know how we existed prior to May 2025, because literally. I don't know what I would do. That is my favorite ride of all time. It just is. Every time I get on it, it is just... Not me going off on Monsters Unchained again, but I mean, it just every time I go to Epic again and I ride it for the first time that I'm back, I just am like, I need to write a novel on how amazing this is because it's that good. It's just that good. But Dustin, that is a really good fun fact, and I think that they had a walkthrough Van Helsing in Hollywood as well, right?
Yep, that did come to be, and I think that was essentially as far as I can remember, basically the only version that's come to be. I'm trying to think of
Yeah.
more, but
Well, there's a Van Helsing roller coaster in Europe,
okay. Oh, okay.
based on the
Yes.
films. That which is somewhat newish. Well, I mean, when I say newish, like past 20 years. But yes, they have opened a Van Helsing roller coaster in Europe. I forget which park it's at.
Wow.
It's at I think it's at Warner Brothers Movie World Germany, maybe.
Mm. I guess because
You might be
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I think that's where it is, but it's like a single car roller coaster. It looks. That is a great fun fact that sent us on a little journey to Europe, a little side journey to Europe there, Dustin. But do we think that this is something that obviously Demi and I have talked about a lot with regard to Muppets and Dino Land. But now I wonder, do we think that Universal took the right approach in not only building this land to the scale that they did, but also maintaining it over the years? Do we think it got what it should have gotten? And was there a world, if handled properly, the land could have thrived and existed into the current landscape of theme parks if they had given it that attention?
You want me to take that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't know if it's necessarily Universal's fault or like in terms of the approach to how the land was handled. I think the landscape of how theme parks want to advertise, how theme parks want people to come to the park, and the overall expectation and just general way of working right now that goes into what stays and what goes. I think something like this land in particular had a lot of things against it in terms of how they operate within the general scheme of the public, which is kind of like we said earlier. You can't throw up a big commercial and say, come visit this land, because people are going to say, what is that land? It's much easier to say, come visit Harry Potter, right? So I think that's one of the things that, regardless of how amazing Universal truly tried to do this, I don't know if it's based on their studies and their things that they've kind of put together of what the average guest is looking for. I think at the end of the day, this was always going to kind of be tailored to a theme park purist, and as someone like, in our community or someone like us that really appreciates these things. Unfortunately, I think it's just the way of the business now. And I think that's really what's come down to is the business. But I would love to say yes. I'd love to sit here and say they just made this walkthrough change or did this, but it's hard to say that when basically, and I know Demi's not going to necessarily agree with this maybe, but everyone basically says Mythos is the best theme park restaurant in the world, or at least one of them. Then I don't know if anything's safe at that point when, you've got the odds stacked against you.
I want to be clear. I so appreciate Mythos for what it is. I just have a problem with their tzatziki, and it's because I take my tzatziki very seriously, and it's just that's it. I mean, I have a tzatziki meter, as my husband calls it. I have to have a certain amount of tzatziki to function as a human being, as a half Greek in the world. So, but no, I didn't want it to go. In fact, I think the food is the strongest thing about the land itself. I love the kebabs and the Greek honey puffs.
Yeah.
It's like, what's crazy to me is I feel like Greek food is such a, it's such a crowd pleasing type of cuisine, and really in Universal and Disney, it's not very well represented. We have this land, I guess, but that's going to be taken away. And then we get like the Greek booth during Food and Wine, and that's it. Like, there's no Greek restaurants in City Walk or in Disney Springs. Like, I'm honestly very surprised. So now this is going away, and it's interesting. It's an interesting choice to not, I hope something comes back from that. Because kind of like what we were saying before of like, oh, we could keep Mythos and Poseidon's Fury. Like, I honestly, there was a world, I guess my delusion was, well, they're going to at least keep Mythos, right?
Right. Yeah,
like, they want to get rid of, like, they'll just keep it as like what it is. No.
No, ma'am.
I said that too. I said, regardless of what comes in here, they're going to find something intellectually that it's going to be at least somewhat similar to where Mythos only needs maybe a banner here or there, and it's a part of this world now.
To be a part of, I could see it like somehow be a part of Jurassic. Because I don't think I could see it be a part of
build a bridge over the lake from
Zeus.
that
Well,
to Mythos and it connect it.
I guess it depends on what the land will become, which we'll get
Right.
into, and if it, like, Pokemon, obviously, I don't see it.
It's staying in
but-
a restaurant. There's no way that they're gonna keep the bones of it.
Oh, no, of course.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just the facade, and this cuisine. Because, I mean, unless
Yeah.
it is Lord of the Rings, maybe you can get away
Greek
with
food.
Greek food.
Lord of the Rings. Yes, I love that. That is hilarious. But
The funny thing is, even though they were, Greek food, I never went there. I got the grilled cheese there. Like, that was my Mythos go-to meal, was the grilled cheese. And everyone, I'm telling you,
It's Greek.
the grilled cheese in the is it? What?
The griddled cheese in the pan?
What?
is
That's
it?
I thought it was
Yeah,
grilled
that's-
cheese. Okay,
No.
forgive me. Okay, maybe
blowing
I-
Dustin's
I-
mind here?
I said, it's grilled cheese. It's tomato soup. Is it?
Well, wait, are you talking about like just the regular grilled cheese or the one that comes in the pan?
They put it in tomato soup. It's like in soup, and they're like, put
Oh,
chicken
that
on top.
one. Oh, that is
Yeah.
just grilled cheese, I
Oh,
guess.
Yeah.
we were
but it's-
rocking Dustin's mind right there. We were like, you had
but
Greek
there
food.
is but there is a part of like Greek food where it's like a griddled cheese and grilled, I mean the tomato soup part, no, I wouldn't say
Okay.
it, but but still, yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine.
but that was one of my. Okay, so this one I know for sure. I'd also get the cheeseburger there, so we can.
Okay, there you go.
That's another, and milkshakes. I'd get milkshakes there, but I would get hummus and chips.
You know, that's Greek.
I thought was pretty
That's Greek,
good. Yeah,
Justin. Yeah, that's Greek. The cheeseburger spring rolls at Magic Kingdom, it's Greek.
Yeah,
they're-
it's all-
it's
it's all
all,
Greek.
it's all Greek.
It's all Greek to
All
me.
Greek to me. Yeah, I just, on your prior answer though, Justin, I'm like, why do you have to-
Pokemon come from the Greek,
the Greek
word.
come from the Greek word. I am though just like, Dustin, why did you have to be so smart? Because I was like, I wanted you to be like, yeah, if we just did this, it could be justice for Lost Continent, and then you like had to give like a really smart answer and be like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
actually, dummy, it couldn't survive in 2026. But there's a world in which I think we all wish and hope that theme parks
course.
would maybe get away from this IP reliant thing, but I'm not their target audience. The general public is their target audience, and people want to go see what they are familiar with. So there are a lot of really fun facts though that I came across about this. Did you guys know that this? Well, obviously, Islands of Adventure hosted Halloween Horror Nights very, very briefly in the early aughts. And my favorite fun fact that I found out while researching for this episode was that our beloved Mystic Fountain, did you know that in 2002, when Halloween Horror Nights 12 was at Islands of Adventure for the Islands of Fear, the Mystic Fountain transformed into what it was officially known as for the entire event, Fountain of Evil. Did you know this?
No, I
No.
didn't.
It is so crazy. There are brochures online where you can go literally look and see how they were touting this as an attraction, as a show. He had glowing red eyes. There were dark shadows all around him. They actually made this land look really scary. I mean, there's just kind of red lights and fog and fire everywhere. It's all the shadows it casts on the rockwork looks really, really, really scary. But there were nightly shows from 7:30 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. He cackled, he giggled, he would curse guests. He would literally put like curses on you, and they played John Carpenter's Halloween movie score next to him. There's video of it online. You can only see it in brief portions of videos about larger things, like when people are documenting HHN as a whole, they kind of pass by the fountain, so it didn't seem like it was too popular. But when they pass by it, John Carpenter's Halloween score is just playing as this fountain is cackling and squirting water and cursing people. It is the funniest thing. And according to the Halloween Horror Nights wiki, the show was originally going to be called Fountain of the Evil Dead. The original concept had a backstory for the fountain, which said an evil demon got trapped inside the fountain's watery tomb for 2,000 years, and he would periodically ask guests questions about horror, and if guests answered incorrectly, he would then spray them with cold water, which I love the Fountain of Evil. He sounds just like me. That's,
when you're on children.
That's right. When I'm around children, I'm like, do you know anything about horror? If not, get away from me. So,
you want to be the pilot on Millennium Falcon? I don't think so.
I don't think so. No, sir. That's me. I will push a child out the way for that. So see, Dustin's doing it too. That's right.
I know the move.
But yeah, cool little fun fact.
That is a cool one. That's one that I never knew. But I already thought the fountain was pretty sassy and would roast people, but apparently there's an even more evil twin or something. So, I mean,
I love
right?
it. Yes. I'm so sad we don't have
the fountain was a full deal.
I wish they would.
Was crazy.
I wish they would have something like that and put it in like in Diagon Alley, and then just to roast people, have like another thing in the land to do, and then make it really evil for during when the Death Eaters are out.
Why didn't this come back for just a day before the fountain left? The demon should have rose and been like, "I'm back for one last spit," whatever. Right?
I can't breathe. One last spit.
It should have been a final goodbye.
That's the name of the episode. One last
spit for the mystic fountain. Yes, the evil fountain. I love it. It's like, it truly is like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. I mean, it's funny. On one hand you've got the good little fountain, and the other one you've got the crazy spitter. So I mean, it's just I really wish I could have seen this in practice. And Dustin, you have now given me endless fantastical visions of this that I will now be playing over in my head again, wishing even more that this land hadn't gone away. So thank you for that. But
if I knew this fun fact earlier, though, I would have rioted a long time ago that we didn't get this.
Yeah. I mean, let's just do it now. Let's just Universal, we're coming, reopen it, please. We can tear those walls down. But no, actually, please, people, do not do this. We are not encouraging this. Do not do that.
I love how you feel like you have to say that because of how society.
There's got to be fountains in whatever land is coming.
Yes.
There's got to be. We have water there, wherever.
Yes, I agree with you. Let's remember that thought, because Demi and I have lightly discussed this before, but in our last segment, which we're going to get to right after we talk about Poseidon's Fury, I want to come back to that thought, because we do have some ideas. Now, the last thing. Well, obviously, we shouldn't gloss over Sinbad.
I want to say one thing about Poseidon's Fury.
Well, that's what I was transitioning into. We were going to talk about.
I thought you wanted to skip it.
No. I was saying.
Okay. You want to talk about Sinbad first? Let's talk about Sinbad.
Well, I don't think there's too much to mention about Sinbad. I mean, it was a stage show. It was very heavily panned throughout its life. It was not very popular, but I never saw it. I never saw it either. But I mean,
I never saw it either.
Well, hey,
I didn't go to Universal until 2016, so it was like not even. I don't even think it was running when I was there.
2018, it closed in 2018.
But I don't think the show. I remember being online for was it for Hagrid, right?
Hagrid opened in 2019.
Oh right, then why was I? I fully remember going into that. I think it was for. No, because it was for I did Dueling Dragons the one time, so it was for Dueling Dragons, and I was in the extended queue, and the show was not in operation.
Right, they also used it for like a cooling station sometimes.
During COVID.
Yeah, it was very strange. But she was a flop, and she does not get the right to return, because we have deemed her a flop, because none of us ever saw her. So she can go. But that was supposed to be funny. I guess nobody laughed. Thank you, Demi. Thank you for the pity laugh. Now, Poseidon's Fury. Dustin, I know that's getting you excited because you are just as excited about it as I am. I mean, Demi, you did this, right? Did you do Poseidon's Fury?
Yeah.
Okay, so I
even got my husband to do it right before it closed, so he got to know what it was like.
Yeah. And everybody, I think this is truly, people are going to make fun of me for saying this. I do think it is the gold standard for modern walkthrough theme park attract. Like, I mean, they're so.
That's not crazy at all.
It's incredible. No. It's incredible. The ambition and the vision behind this attraction from what it eventually opened as. Because initially, Gary Goddard, who headed the development of Islands of Adventure, wanted this to be called the Haunted Temple of Poseidon. So they were initially going a very dark route when this opened. I mean, the story actually changed very much. They were having some technical issues, so they completely revamped the attraction within the first few months of it opening, I think. But it eventually, what it morphed into, essentially, you were going into this giant temple structure. You were led by a guide through a lot of different lighting and sound effects and visual effects and projections and water tunnels.
Water tunnel.
Demi and I hope will become either a Starmie or a Squirtle in the future. You opened up into a giant. Essentially, it was an arena. It was like a temple ruins, and there was just water and fire, and just it was
a Pokemon arena.
So yeah, we want it to be. Well, this is for the next section.
Perfect water gym or something. Like
that's what we said in our last episode.
Said.
We said it's gonna. I think that's what it's gonna be. But we'll get to this. We'll get to this.
Not open up into a battle right there, but yeah,
a battle gym exactly. And there are some recent patents and copyrights that were filed that might suggest that is what's happening. But so. Essentially, this is just, God, this is so cool. I mean, it just blew me away every time I did it. I'm just like, this is in a theme park. This feels like something that you would pay to get in, like on its own as a standalone attraction. Else, it just didn't feel like you were in a theme park. It felt like you were doing a separate attraction on its own that existed outside the confines of Universal. And I'm like, who got this idea? Who first was the one who was like, you know what? Let's have people walk through a temple and gods are battling in fire and squirt water at them and,
some legend.
It's a legend. Yes, he was probably Greek. He was Greek, actually.
And loved grilled cheese.
And loved grilled cheese?
I do love grilled cheese.
God, what a cool attraction. Super cool.
What's so funny when Dustin very early on in this episode mentioned they had just revamped it a little bit, and that's why it was kind of the delusion of they're keeping it or whatever. It's very similar to my denial and delusion over at Carousel of Progress. It's the same thing. They had just redone that last scene only a few years ago, so I was like, well, surely nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't feel like refurbishments matter at all anymore at this point. It's
no!
Refurbish something and a year later be like, just kidding, it's gone now.
Isn't it so funny though? I wonder if they just didn't know, they just thought it was fine, and then all of a sudden they changed it, or they just was like, I guess maybe we should. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem real to spend the money and time to redo a thing and then to immediately close it. So I'm so for both parks. If anyone is listening that has any indication of what happened for either thing, please let me know. I want to know.
I think
it would be hard for me to believe that you would go in and refurb something knowing immediately that it's closing. I think you just let it run its course, which we've seen a lot of attractions do. At the end of their life cycle, you start noticing that could use a touch right there or something. But obviously at that point, there's no reason to do it. So I feel like this is again just my intuition. I feel like there's got to be some sort of swing of a decision internally where they're like, you know what, we are going to do this change, and I understand we just did this refurbishment, but we got to move forward anyways. That's how it feels.
But I see this land. I agree with that in general, but I do think this land is different because I think it's been very clear that this land is not sticking around for so long, and I think that let's say it hasn't been 10, 11, 12 years that the signs have been there for this. Let's say it's only been 4 years that the signs have been there. That's still a long, that this land is closing, and they just didn't do anything. They Sinbad closed, and the Dueling Dragons were absorbed into the other the Harry Potter section. Then they closed, and then it's just little stuff here and there that. It does seem odd to me as to why they would also just let something sit in this park that could be eating up people the same way that they do at that big stage over in Toon Lagoon. It's why are you just letting this space sit here when you could just be constructing something that would eat up capacity and not take away any capacity in the process of doing it? And by slowly just closing these things in small spaces, you are essentially just cutting your capacity bit by bit by bit, and it breaks my heart to see that they kind of did it that way. I know I'm weird, but to say break my heart, but it did. I think that it was a slow, painful death for this land, and it didn't deserve that. But
I mean, Joey, in the beginning of this episode, you said this was an ambitious project for Universal, and what do we all think? Do we think that the Lost Continent was successful, or was it a misstep? What went wrong to lead to the end of its life, and so quickly in a sense, because in 2010, if it starts getting eaten up, that's only like how many years is 1999 to 2010?
That's 11. Yeah, it's 11. It's a
That's
shorter period of time than it from
Yeah.
then to then than it is from 2010 to now. So
Yeah.
I do think, I will say, I think that Universal has probably gone through several things that were supposed to go here. I don't think it's been since 2010 that they've been like, Pokemon's next. Like, I think it's probably been a few different things, but and they were probably waiting for the right time. But I do think that what went wrong, quote unquote, is what Dustin was saying before, is I think it is probably just a quick realization, especially once they knew that their business was about to be changed forever when they got the rights to Harry Potter, that once you hit the gas on that, you can't put money and time and resources into the land right next door that is essentially not based on, Demi, to your point earlier, an intellectual property that has an established face in a movie theater, on a TV screen, in pop culture. And I just don't think that that's the same kind of sell to a general audience. But then it's like, when I say things like that, I go back to Disney, where I'm like, Expedition Everest is so ridiculously popular, and that is the last Disney attraction to be built that isn't based on an intellectual property. It's just based on folklore, and people are so excited about it, and it's such an amazing attraction, and people get really pumped for that. And I'm like, no, this is possible.
Do they get pumped for it because it's a roller coaster, or because of the theming, though? Like, that you have to remember that,
Yeah, but that's proof to me that it's like, I don't think the general public is as quote unquote dumb or clueless as a lot of corporations might think they are. And I think that if you give them a good experience, you tell them there's a Yeti on a mountain and a roller coaster, they're going. And people just want to escape. And Disney has been, I think Disney and Universal especially need to trust themselves a little bit more going forward, of they are the tastemakers. The movies are things that people go to escape for 2 hours. A theme park is something you go on a vacation, and it's an escape and a fantasy for a week. And Disney and Universal, you are the tastemakers. You are the people who can put something in front of an audience, and they will go based on the Disney name. But then you use that to immerse them in a completely different world. And it doesn't have to be something that they're familiar with. So I'm coming around on my answer to this. Sorry, this got kind of long-winded, but I don't necessarily think that, the only thing that I think went wrong was that I think Universal lost faith in what they could do with this, and, for lack of a better word, gave up in putting effort into this land. And I think if they did, it would be a different story. Dustin, how do you feel?
What do you feel about this?
Well, I love your taste maker line too, and I feel like Eisner was the king of that, especially like just making whatever is gonna happen and telling people, like, you're gonna see this unique idea we have and go for it.
You're gonna like it.
I kind of want to take the opposite argument in terms of this land specifically, because I'm looking at it through the lens of like how long things actually tend to last at a Universal park, and it's gotten a lot better the last 15 years. But if you really look historically through the 90s, especially early 2000s, it was almost a miracle if something lasted 10, 11, 12, 15 years, much less something like this that has now been there essentially 27 years. Sure, fragmented now, but still relatively in operation with the restaurant and the walkthrough and everything else. Like, the fact that it's still standing 27 years later is essentially a miracle in itself for a Universal park. So I don't necessarily consider it a full-on failure. I think it has some success, and it definitely set a bar in terms of what's possible for Universal Creative. I don't know if Universal Creative knew before then that they had it in them to create such an immersive land, because if historically, if you look at it, I feel like that's the first at scale land that they really built. Islands of Adventure kind of set that standard, and then that land in particular really took it to the next level in terms of the opening day stuff. So I look at it as a springboard. I look at it as something that has lasted a very long time. It set a standard and an idea and the belief, I think, in Universal Creative that, hey, we can create pretty darn cool things at scale and really immerse people. And then, of course, it's halfway replaced by the land that really set that standard, which was Hogsmeade. So it's all just kind of, it works for me. It works in its, that kind of set the stage for the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing. And the fact that it lasted this long without having a major name behind it, I think is a win as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I'm glad that you touched on that, because I was going to as well. I think its biggest impact, I think if we're wrapping this all into what this land means
is
for the
Bring It On 4.
I bring sure. Yeah,
it was. Dueling Dragons was the basis of their final routine. I mean, you can't, like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, sure. Like it's we all of these things in pop culture just they all come back to Dueling Dragons. But I do think there's a few things that I think that Lost Continent left an imprint on the theme park industry. Obviously, like we were talking about before, the size and scale of the land is just, for lack of a better word, beastly.
The details.
But compared to other things that open today, it really valued artistic vision and dedication to the project, instead of, I think, being overtly palatable, quote unquote, to a family friendly audience, if that makes any sense. But I think it also had the impact because, Dustin, like you were saying, I think a lot of people assume automatically, or it gets talked about in a very general way, that Hogsmeade was the first to be this fully immersive, like, land based around a central idea. But it really, I mean, Islands of Adventure, the reason Hogsmeade worked there is because Islands of Adventure as a whole was the first park to really do this.
The Islands of Adventure, it's all.
Yes, every single land was doing this and firing on all cylinders while doing it. There was no land that was really an afterthought there. So, I mean, that is where I think its legacy is being part of that, Demi, the word I'm going to use, the tapestry of Islands of Adventure to move forward. And the last thing I want to talk about here is obviously what is...
Before we move on, I guess
yes,
not even a quiz.
Please do. Please,
do you
a statement.
Opening Day Epic Land is going to last as long as Lost Continent lasted.
Oh God. Yes. Yes, all of them. I don't think any Epic Land will be gone in 30 years. There's no way.
It feels that way, right? It feels like it's been a long time.
Yes. Yeah. That's so weird too, because I think then of them, what would be the one? And I would think it would
How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, I was going to say probably Burke, honestly.
And that's the only one you can really go to, unless decides to fall off a cliff. But
it's very clear that because they decided to do Burke, that they're going to keep making more shows and movies, or what they have to. They unfortunately, I think they have to continue to create IP for their property. Yeah, I said this when we mentioned like the Muppets going to Rock and Roller Coaster. I said, it's a good thing because they're in charge of their own IP, and that they need to keep it relevant for people to want to be a part of it. So maybe that means there's going to be more Muppets. So maybe there's more Burke. I know they're going to probably do another live action movie. It was super successful.
Oh yeah,
it was for sure. I think the best live action, adaptation I've seen. And then they already have TV shows, and they can continue, and they can do spinoffs. Like, I think they have to, because I think there is going to be a point where if they just stop right now in like 15 years, we're going to be like, oh yeah, remember
a self-fulfilling machine. Like it one has to pump into the other.
I'll say Epic Universe is a hard proposition in itself, how it was built. I don't even know how you really replace those things. That's a full commitment.
Yeah.
We have to replace a whole land with, that's going to be tough. The way that part specifically was built versus.
Maybe they were just like, well, let's let that be somebody else's problem in 35 years.
35 years. In 35 years, when Joe Rohde is still designing things, let's bring him back to do that. But speaking of developing and changing, the last thing I want to, obviously, just briefly, because we have no information whatsoever, it's all been speculation. What is next? What is coming in the future to Lost Continent? Because Universal has confirmed in a statement that this will be a new themed area and everything is closing. There are some people that think that they are going to level everything. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Sinbad they'll probably level. Poseidon, they're using Poseidon for something. And Mythos, I think the bones are staying there. The exterior is obviously going to get rethemed, but that's going to stay a restaurant. I think the general layout of the area is going to remain the same, but the leading rumors, the top three, have been to varying degrees Lord of the Rings, I would say, is probably third place. Legend of Zelda, second place. Pokemon, first place.
Legend of Zelda is in third place because Legend of Zelda will most likely end up being an epic universe because they already have hints to it in the land.
No, I'm talking about like in terms of like actual like reporting and copyright stuff that has been filed. Like there was a copyright that was filed, I think maybe, or not copyright, but like a documents that were filed for a patent for a ride system where it very clearly looked like Legend of Zelda inspired vehicles and characters on the system that was filed for Islands of Adventure. So that one, they definitely, I think, if you look at the paperwork trail, like Zelda has been up there. Lord of the Rings, there's not really been anything concrete out there other than speculation. So, but the reason I would probably give it the edge now, to, if I'm giving an educated guess, Lord of the Rings does and Pokemon do fulfill the sort of literature aspect of, because Pokemon were, I mean, they technically comics and video games and at the same time, but like Lord of the Rings, obviously a big book franchise.
Right.
I don't know how much they care about sticking to that core through line as much right now, but I think all of these three would be a really good, they'd be a great replacement, I think. I think that you could do some really cool things with Zelda, some really cool things with Lord of the Rings. Pokemon, personally, I would be most excited about because I have the best connection to Pokemon, and I would be excited about a theme park land for once because I actually have a connection to the IP. But Demi, we got that, and Dustin seems to be very excited by our gym idea for Poseidon's Fury. I really think that could become a really cool, like, the whole walkthrough is like you going on the way to the Indigo League or something, and then it opens up into the giant battle arena, and there was copyright stuff filed online for some technology where it was like saying that the way that it was worded was so ridiculous that it was almost comical, but it was like when a fluid or gaseous cloud shoots out of an entity, and then the projection will go onto the cloud to manipulate the cloud to make it seem like something's happening on the cloud before it disappears. And I'm like, oh, that's a Pokemon attack. Like that's, that clearly that's what that sounds like to me. So I think they are developing. And where else can you do a projection on something? You can't do a projection outside in the Florida sun. You can do a projection inside the Poseidon's Fury show building. So
yeah,
I think, Demi, maybe this time next year we might be being like, we predicted this. So that's what I think. I think it's Pokemon. And also the Mystic Fountain. I think it could be a Squirtle talking to you now. or a Starmie. Yeah, that's what I think. So Dustin, what do you think is coming here?
I just want to say how amazing it is in general, not necessarily from a park announcement standpoint, but from a community standpoint that we still don't know at this point in time.
I know.
You would think by now we would have a pretty good idea. Like, they're not saying it, but it's this. Like, usually we're at that point by now, but the fact we're not is kudos to Universal. Great job keeping us in the dark on this, for one. But two, I don't really have an absolute desire, I think, for what I want this area to be. I think more so I have a hope for what I hope it serves the park as a whole, because the way that it was today, I always told people that I thought Islands of Adventure was one of the most complete parks in the world. And I said that because it had great roller coasters. It had a dark ride that set a standard with Spider-Man. It had this new trackless ride with Kong. It had it has great shows. It has a walkthrough attraction, which you never see. You never see a walkthrough attraction in any park. So it added that element. And then all of a sudden, you also throw in good quick service and what's considered to be the best theme park restaurant in the world. This amazing, iconic entry music that defined my childhood, which was the port of entry music. Walking in and just that music was theme park music to me. Like, I just knew that song. I'd go home and try to find that song so I could listen to it at home. Islands of Adventure, I just did that. So I thought this land was very important to complete the package, and it completed the package with having that food and having a walkthrough attraction. Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to go back to the route of the walkthrough attraction or if they're going to completely level and go with some insane dark ride right there. I feel like they really can't lose because that park is already so stacked. That park is insane. But I'm just hopeful that whatever IP comes in still serves the synergy of the park well, still serves the completed package of what's in there. I didn't even mention a log ride. There's a log ride in there too. There's also Popeyes, right? Like it seems like every kind of like ride style you can think of, or like what should be in there, is there. And it's
Drop
very rare that
tower.
you can think of a theme park that like just checks off every box. Does it have this? Yep. Does it have this? Does it have something for kids? Yep. Like it's very rare that you can just go down the line and check every box. And Islands does that. It's very complete.
It does.
And so I'm just hoping
you're right.
Comes does that.
It can only be additive, I think, at this point. Whatever they add will not detract, and it will be. It's pretty much guaranteed it will be on the same scale because
not to mention the Grinch.
I would actually. That would be so funny if it was just a Grinch land.
Surprise! We're standing Seuss.
It's just a Seuss expansion going across the bridge. Oh my god, that's so funny. I really, that is hilarious.
I love that land.
Well, I mean, the future, I believe, is, although this is a dark period for me as I mourn this land, I do think that the future is promising for this. And I think that whatever they do, Universal's really cooking right now. And I think that whatever they've got, it's going to be exciting. So, we'll anxiously await that announcement. And Dustin, thank you so much for doing this. I wouldn't either. No, I wouldn't either. I just need a walk around Jinx character, and then the not racist version, and then I will be happy because Jinx is my favorite, and I just need her at all times. A drag show review starring Jinx in the show, and then and then I'm all about theme park live entertainment. Demi, I'll change my tune.
Okay. The Jinx and Hijinks show.
The Jinx and Hijinks, yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Wow.
Whew. What an ep, Dustin. Thank you so much. You are just such a delight, and I'm so glad that you did this, and you're so knowledgeable and easy to talk to, and you've got good taste in grilled cheese. So, I mean, listen.
Greek grilled cheese.
Greek grilled cheese. You've got good taste, and we cannot thank you enough. Once again, everybody, please make sure you are following Dustin at Theme Park Shark everywhere. Like, just you will not be sorry if you're probably already following him if you're listening to this episode, but like, I mean, please just do yourself a favor. But like the Lost Continent, this episode has disappeared into history, but your thoughts should not go into the void. Please tell us in the comments how you feel about Lost Continent, and again, follow us at Park Peeps Pod on all socials.
Yeah, and hit that subscribe button. Wait, you already said that for all of us. No, you didn't say that part. No, you said that for socials, but also make sure you're subscribed to us wherever you get your podcast, giving us the maximum star rating. Make sure to go follow us on all of the socials at Joey Nolfi and at Magical Hijinks. That's HIJINX, and especially over on YouTube for all of our insane stuff. But once again, thank you, Dustin, for being here. You're awesome. I can't wait to say
this is a blast. I had so much fun. I'm glad we got to talk about this, man. I can't thank you guys enough for having me. This is amazing.
Me too. I can't wait to say, for real, welcome back next time, because we definitely want to have another chat with you.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here, Dustin. And stay tuned, all of you, for another all-new episode next week, right here on the Park Peeps podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.